What is going on, guys? This is Jake at That Fit Friend, and today we're going to be doing a comparison of three of what I would call like the more popular barefoot shoes on the market currently. So we have the Xero Shoes Prio, the Inov-8 Bare XF-210 V3, and the Vivobarefoot Primus Lite III. For Inov-8, Xero Shoes, and Vivobarefoot, all these models are kind of like their best like all-arounder shoe. So I constantly get asked on all of my review content about these shoes, comparing them to one another, which model to go with, etc. So I wanted to put this video together to kind of discuss a lot of the asks that I get on a regular basis. As always, everything is timestamped down below, so check out the timestamps, jump around, get the content you need, and get the heck out of this video. But that being said, four major differences between each of these shoes is number one, the sock liner and insole construction. So in the Xero Shoes Prio and in the Vivobarefoot Primus Lite III, we have sock liners that come out. So if you want to take out your sock liner and have an internal finished construction down here on the insole, you can do that with both of these shoes and get super close to the ground. So if you're like myself and you're lifting and you want to take out that sock liner and get uber close to the field to really replicate like a barefoot feel, both of these models are phenomenal. The Inov-8 sock liner doesn't have that internal finished construction if you take it out. However, this model's outsole is overall pretty thin, so I don't think you're really gonna have an issue in this model. But for my friends who do want to take out that sock liner, the Xero Shoes Prio and the Vivobarefoot Primus Lite III are awesome options for doing so. And the second difference is obviously their price point. So if you've shopped around and looked at these models, you're probably wondering like, why are they priced so differently? And your guess is as good as mine. So for the Xero Shoes Prio, you can expect to pay $90 USD. For the Bare XF-210 V3, it's $120 USD. And then for the Primus Lite III, depending on the colorway you go with, it ranges from like $145 to like $155 USD, which is far different from $90 and $120 in my opinion. The third major difference is that when we look at the toe box construction and the width of each model, the widths are all slightly different. So if I had to line them up as like being a bit more narrow to the most wide, what I would do is go boom. So in the Bare XF-210 V3, we have a slightly more tapered toe box. This shoe has a fit scale of 4 on Inov-8's site. Their fit scale ranges from 1 to 5, 5 being the widest. Why the shoe has a fit scale of 4 and not a 5 and meant to be wider, like to replicate an actual barefoot feel, is beyond me. But I think if you have a narrow or neutral foot, you should be fine in this model, but you're not gonna get as much width as you do with the Prio and Vivobarefoot shoe. So the Prio has a wide toe box. However, compared to the Primus Lite III, it is a little bit more narrow, but truthfully guys, like if you have a neutral or wide foot, I don't think you're gonna have an issue with the Prio or the Primus Lite III. However, if you do wanna hedge your bets, the Primus Lite III has the widest toe box of all three of these shoes. The fourth major difference is the intent in which each shoe performs for slightly more niche activities. And now in the next sections, I'm gonna be talking about different realms of activity in which you can use these shoes and talk about which are my favorite. But each of these shoes has construction features to make them a little bit better at certain things compared to the others. So if you are interested in very specific uses for your barefoot shoes and you plan to wear them on a daily basis, check out the next few sections because each of these models will perform for slightly different activities for different construction reasons. All right, so our first performance category is which shoe is best for lifting. So truthfully, if you don't mind the different appearances and if you have a narrow or neutral foot, all of these shoes will work really well. Now, if you have a neutral or wider foot, or you want like the maximal width for your toe box, I would say go Prio or Primus Lite III. And then if I had to narrow these down and pick my overall favorite for lifting, I would go with the Primus Lite III, mostly because I like that you can take out the sock liner in this model. I like the full rubber outsole, and I like that the toe box is plenty wide. So I actually feel like I have ample room in this shoe for my toes, which I am a huge fan of. But again, all of these models will work really well. And truthfully, I do like the Primus Lite III's appearance a bit more, which is also why I like them for lifting. But if you don't really care about that aspect, or if you like how the Prio and Bare XF-210 V3 look, you really can't go wrong with any of these shoes. All I would say is just make sure that you're getting the shoe that has the toe box width that aligns with your foot anatomy. Our next performance category is going to be CrossFit and cross training. Which model is best? In this context, go Inov-8 Bare XF-210 V3. This model has a rubber outsole that grips fairly well. It has additional rope tech throughout the midfoot, and it has a reinforced toe box for toe dragging and durability purposes. The Xero Shoes Prio feels a bit heavy at times, and overall, I'm not a big fan of the suede overlays over the toe for cross training. And then for the Primus Lite III, I'm not sold that the upper is going to be super resilient and durable for abrasion. So I would not risk rope climbing in your Primus Lite 3s and ripping the upper because the price point is so high. Now, if you don't like the width of the Bare XF-210 V3, are there other options? You can look into the Xero Shoes 360. I have a review of those up on the channel. Those are a bit more tailored towards CrossFit and cross training from Xero Shoes, but the Inov-8 model takes the edge in the CrossFit and cross training category. Our next category is which model is best for running. So similar to lifting, all of these models will technically work. They all feature rubber outsoles. They all have a fairly breathable mesh upper construction. But if I had to pick a model for running, I would probably go with the Prio, and that's because the sole durability I think is a bit better across the board, and it has a tiny bit more cushion to it if you leave that sock liner in. So I think if you're somebody who is acclimating to running shorter distances with barefoot shoes, the Prio is going to be your best call. With the Vivobarefoot Primus Lite III, you can certainly run in them, and the upper is super lightweight and breathable, but again, like, I like these most for lifting and casual wear. They're not really my go-to for running. And then similar with the Bare XF-210 V3, we have a full rubber outsole to grip the ground really well, so you do get a nice traction in this. Plus we have that MetaFlex construction up here on the forefoot and the toe box. But with the overall width, I don't know if everybody's gonna find them the most comfortable, so if I had to pick a winner up here for running, I would say go with the Prio. However, if you're not sold on like how it can be a tad heavy at times, both of these models will work well, and they're a tiny bit more lightweight. Our final performance category is which shoe is best for daily wear. So since all these models are kind of like those all-arounders and you're probably gonna wear them on a daily basis, which shoe should you go with? So it's a little bit subjective because like for a daily wear shoe, I will typically reach for like the better looking shoe. So in this context, I usually go with Primus Lite 3 or the Bare XF-210 V3 because I think their colorways and their appearance can work with more outfits. Like I'll wear the Primus Lite 3 with gym clothes, pants, regular shorts, along with the Bare XF-210 V3. For the Prio, I'll wear them if I'm running errands and I have on gym clothes, but this is not my go-to for more casual clothes. But when it comes to daily wear, I generally go with the Primus Lite 3 or the Bare XF-210 V3 because they can go with more outfits than the Prio, in my lowly opinion. So when chatting on sizing and fit differences in all of these models, all of these shoes, you should be safe going true to size. Now we talked on toe box width before, and I think if you're looking for maximal width or if you have a really wide foot, the Bare XF-210 V3 is not going to be for you. And when talking on sizing and fit, the Primus Lite 3 does not come in half sizes. So if you are a half size, so let's say like you're a 9.5, I would say try the 9 first before going up to the 10 if you're like generally a little bit more snug with your true to size models. This way you don't get a shoe that's so big that it's kind of like flopping on the ground since the toe box is so wide in the shoe. But if you do like, let's say normally wear a 9.5 and you're pretty close to hitting that end of the toe box, then in your case, you might want to go 10, but for most folks, I would say start smaller. That way you don't have a shoe that's so big that flops around. But again, for all of these models, you should be safe going true to size. And if you're a half size and you're looking at the Primus Lite 3, check out my individual review or go with the logic that we just discussed. All right, so now let's go over all the construction differences between the Primus Lite 3, Prio, and Bare XF-210 V3. So on the toe box of every single shoe, we have reinforced materials, which I personally like for overall durability. Over here on the Inov-8 and the Vivobarefoot, we have a thinner layer of reinforcement. We have an outsole layer that lips up. On the Bare XF-210 V3, I wish that this layer was a little bit wider. I think it'd be better for overall durability, but I haven't had any issues yet in this model. In the Prio, we have more of a suede overlay that has additional layers. It makes the toe box a bit thicker. So as you can see, like the toe comes up a little bit more on the Prio. It's a bit more of like a chunky toe, what I would call it. Making our way through the upper construction of each shoe, we have a mesh upper on each model. The Prio's mesh is a tad thicker, so as you can see, like it's a thicker material throughout. In the Vivobarefoot Primus Lite 3, it is super thin, and then in the Inov-8, it's kind of like this middle ground. It is thick-ish like the Prio. However, when it comes to like the overall maneuverability and lightweight nature of it, and just being breathable, I think this shoe has the edge. Now, making our way to the midfoot, we have some branding here on the Primus Lite 3. On the medial side, we have an overlay here, and then on the Prio, we have a Huarache-inspired design throughout the midfoot and the heel. As you can see, it's meant to replicate that more Huarache sandal design that has been used for years. In the Inov-8 model, we have rope tech wrapping up on the midfoot. We have a slightly more reinforced heel counter back here on the heel. And this is why I think the Inov-8 model is better for cross training, because we have this construction here that is designed for rope climbs and assisting with rope climbs. Making our way to the outsole on each model, we have a full rubber outsole on each shoe. And then over here on the Inov-8, we do have that MetaFlex tech up here in the forefoot. On the Xero Shoes Prio, it's a pretty standard like arrow design here. And then on the Vivobarefoot Primus Lite III, it's a pretty standard like hexagon patterning. When it comes to outdoor traction, the Prio's outsole and the Inov-8 do a little bit better than the Vivobarefoot. This kind of slides around a little bit, and that's because we don't have like thick lugs or anything really like to grip the ground with in this model's outsole. Making our way to the lacing systems. In the Vivobarefoot Primus Lite III, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5th eyelet back here for lace locking. Truthfully guys, like the lacing system in the Primus Lite III, I would love to see maybe get reworked or just get new laces. These laces are constantly coming untied, and that is my one gripe about this shoe, especially for daily wear. In the Prio, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a 6th eyelet back here for lace locking. And 2 of these laces have the Hirache strap. So if you tighten this model up, it wraps and really locks down that foot really well. And then over here in the Inov-8 model, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a 6th eyelet back here for lace locking, similarly to the Prio. We've already talked on sock liners, but the Primus Lite III and the Xero Shoes Prio both have sock liners that come out with a finished internal construction. In the Inov-8 model, we don't have that. So as you can see, it's more like that standard insole construction if we take that sock liner out. And then overall, that's kind of the gist of all these shoes constructions. When it comes to weight, the Inov-8 model is the lightest. The Primus Lite III is just under the Prio, and the Prio is the heaviest model. If you have any questions on the construction of these shoes, hit me in the comments below. All right guys, that wraps up this comparison video of the Primus Lite III, the Prio, and the Bare XF-210 V3. All of these shoes are strong performers within their own right, and I think if you tailor them to different activities, each shoe performs really well for certain niches. If you have any additional questions on these shoes or which model to go with for the context of your needs, hit me in the comments below or reach out to me personally, whichever you prefer. And as always guys, drop a like on the video, drop subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys in the next one.